So welcome back to the two-hand swing. I'll show you this at a 45-degree angle because I think that's going to be more helpful for you. Basically have the handle facing out to left and right feet. That makes it easy for you to pick up. So when we did our squat and deadlift earlier, remember? Hip hinge, breathe in, take hold of the handle, and stand. Now you can actually put this into practice, what we mentioned earlier. By bending and standing, you can see the knees coming forwards, but nothing's happening. Now watch what happens when I take the hips back. All of a sudden the bell begins to move. Now I'm intentionally keeping my forearms connected to my body here. When I add a little bit of acceleration to this, bring it to rest and down. You can see that it's exactly the same as the kiddies swing in the park. So what's going to happen is the mass is connected to this lever, the arm, and the actual pivot point is the shoulder. So the only way you can ever accelerate this weight is to pull the hips back and literally think of jumping, but without jumping. This will transfer through to the arms, exactly the same as pushing that swing, so that pendulum action comes back. Now, notice as well that we take the hands behind us. Why? Well, this stops us starting from zero every time. So what do I mean by that? If I come back to here, so I'm gonna swing, and I come back to straight down, neutral. I have to basically use a huge amount of effort to lift that weight once more. Now if we consider that pendulum, if this pendulum has gone forwards, it's naturally going to go backwards. If I allow the weight to go behind and under me, it's guaranteed to move almost as far forwards as it is backwards without me doing anything. So to make it easier, what you've got to understand is there's potential energy there when it's at the back. Kinetic energy in motion, potential energy. So at the back, there's that potential energy. If I hold the weight here, the potential energy literally is, if I let go of my hand, it's going to hit the floor. If I hold the weight here, and maybe there's something blocking it from moving, as soon as that's moved, the potential energy will keep swinging exactly the same as Newton's cradle until it comes back to rest. So ideally, what you actually want to do is allow the weight to go behind you. So if you watch about where that box is for the yellow ball, so instead of here and hefting it up, which is what you quite often see in gyms, there's this kind of squat and lift and back to zero, or even a swing from zero. Now, how can I accelerate it here? I'm going to have to use a combination of shoulders and from zero and up. It basically becomes a strength exercise rather than a cardio one. So what I'm after is watch that weight going behind, and accelerate. Decelerate, so the brakes go on, bring it to rest with a couple of swings, and lower. What I recommend is there's three phases. There's the prep, there's working, and then there's deceleration. I'll go through these individually. So you're going to lift the weight, prep, 1, 2, work in height for your sets and reps, however many you do, then the brakes go on. Slow it down, come to rest, and finished. Rather than trying to reach head height from the floor, and then from head height, bring it back to rest. So the main thing with the swing, it's a hip hinge, as neutral a spine as you can get, shoulders slightly retracted, core braced, the outside edge of the forearm will meet upper inner thigh. What actually happens here is you get contact, and as you swing through, that leg action can assist. Okay, that leg action can assist. Trust me, when you're working for very high volume, you want every piece that you can claw back to get those numbers. The weight will come behind ever so slightly. When you add additional force to the potential energy that's already there, you'll start to knock it up to about chest, head height. There's no reason to go above head height unless you compete in CrossFit. Now, before you load your catapult and get ready to fire at me, I have taught at several CrossFit gyms and even been flown out internationally to Greece and Cyprus. And I've said to them, swing the way I teach you, overhead swing in your competition, and you'll thank me for it. Why? Because the overhead swing exists for one reason and one reason only. A judge counts a repetition when your bicep passes your ear. It isn't superior, it isn't better for your joint range, it doesn't produce more force. It exists because that is how they decided the rules of the exercise. If they'd have simply said, break parallel, nobody would be complaining. And I'll tell you why. I have gone into CrossFit gyms and I have said, swing 5 repetitions as I show you, mechanically efficient, based on posterior chain, power production, very, very good use of your engine. And then 5 overhead, and you literally see their face change. They realize it is an inferior exercise. And that's it. And that's the only thing I'm going to mention on it. I've got no problem against CrossFit, apart from 2 areas, overhead swing and Olympic lifting for time. Particularly when you're working at a very heavy weight and there's kind of a lot of prep. You know, you can bang out press ups, you can bang out squat jumps and everything else, but to actually rep Olympic lifts like snatch at a decent weight that often requires a mental focus and then away you go, I don't see the benefits of that. And that's just my opinion. If you disagree, absolutely fine. The world will still turn and I'm sure we could still even be friends. So the swing. 3 considerations. Hips, hinge. Weight goes behind and the acceleration of those hips forwards, not hyperextending, to neutral. Sit, stand. Think of jumping without leaving the floor. Those actions are enough to take that weight comfortably to chest height with minimal effort. Bring it to rest, and down we go.